here we go on with the last part of the algebra part of rational expressions, where we're going to solve equations. And then after today, we'll talk about the graphs of these equations and what they look like. And then we'll be done with this Unit 6 on rational equations. So here we go. If we want to solve a rational equation, all right, so you have fractions in your equation. Basically what you do is you get rid of the fraction. You make that fraction go away. You don't want to solve equations that have fractions. And how do you get rid of it? By multiplying both sides by the least common multiple, all right? And what happens then is that the denominators all go away, all right? And then what you have left, all right, you multiply the top by what's left, and then you just solve your equation, all right? As always, you have to make sure the denominator cannot equal 0, all right? Those are your exclusions, all right? You cannot divide by 0. So for example, if we have these fractions that we're adding together, these are rational expressions because they're fractions, all right? First of all, we see this d in the denominator. I have 2 divided by d, and so d cannot equal 0, all right, because you cannot divide by d. And so now what I'm going to do is, so that's my exclusion. All right, now what I'm going to do is get rid of these fractions. And so what I look at is my least common multiple, and my least common multiple has to have all the factors. So it needs to have a d, because there's a d. It needs to have a factor of 4, and it needs to have a factor of 12. All right, well, 12 actually has a factor of 4 and a factor of 3. So if I do math num 8 between 4 and d, so I'll do, if I do math, go over to num, and number 8 is the least common multiple, all right? So I have 4, comma, so it's like what we did with the greatest common factor, but now we want the multiple. So 4 and 12, so the least common multiple is 12, all right? So if I multiply everything through by 12d, my denominators are going to go away. All right, and that's what I have here. The whole thing is going to be multiplied by 12d, so that as in the numerator. Okay. So what happens, and it's easier actually if you split it up into pieces. So I have 2 over d times 12d, right? And then plus. Then I had the 1/4. Right? And then so I'm multiplying all of it. It's kind of like I'm distributing this to everybody. All right? So the 12d times the first one, and 12d times the second one, and 12d times this side as well. And I get the equals. All right? So what I get is I would have my d's cancel out, right? Remember we promised that the denominator would go away if I do this. So the d's go away here, so I have 2 times 12 is 24. Right? 2 times 12 is 24. Plus, right, plus. Now if I have 12 divided, remember this is 12 in the numerator, 12 divided by 4, right, is 3. So what I have here is 3d. All right, equals, and then these 12s cancel out, and so I have 11d. All right, so the denominator went away, and now it's an equation that we've had before. It's a little tricky because you have the d's on both sides, right? There's an equal sign here, so I can't combine them. I can't make that 14d. What I have to do is subtract 3d from both sides. And so that's 0, so that goes away, and I have 24 equals 11 minus 3 is 8, and then it's 8d. And then now I want to get rid of the 8, so I divide by 8. and then I get d equals 3. Alright, so it looks, again, very complicated, but it's not too bad. Alright, so again, I need my least common multiple. It's got to have all the factors. Alright, so it's got to have a 5. It's got to have an x. It actually has to have 2 x's. Alright, so, and then that takes care of this, right? There's an x squared. Okay, so that takes care of all those factors. Alright. So now if I multiply everybody by 5x squared, right, over 1, my denominators are going to go away. Okay, so I'm going to take, I'll split it up, so I have 2 over 5x times 5x squared, right? Oh, and then that's over 1, and then then I have my equal sign, right? So I distributed that. And now I'm going to multiply this. So I have 4 over x squared times 5x squared over 1 plus, and then now I'm going to multiply by this guy. So x plus 2 over x squared times 5x squared over 1. All right? So, remember, if you can multiply, you can do anything. Alright, so now we just cancel out our common factors. I've got 1x in the denominator, and that is, this x squared is x times x, right? So this x is going to cross out with one of those x's, so I have an x left over, so I have 2x. Alright? And then now I have 4 times 5, so that's 20. This x squared cancels out with that x squared, so all I have is 20. And then this x squared cancels out with that x squared. So, but this is a binomial, so I have to remember to distribute that. So that would be 5x plus 10. Alright? And again, I have, here's my equal sign, so these are on different sides, so I can't combine the x's. It's not 7x. I have to subtract these guys. Alright? I'm going to subtract these guys over here. So 2 minus 5 is negative 3x equals, that went away, right? And then now I have 20 plus 10 is 30. So this is exciting because we're getting better and better at algebra every day. All different aspects of algebra. So now I've got the negative 3 times x, so I'm going to divide by negative 3, right? That's 1. That's the identity property, 1 times the number, and then that would be negative 10. So x equals negative 10. Okay, and as always, right, I can check my answer by using my store function. All right, so I have negative 10, and I'm going to store that in x, right? And see if my original equation is true. So let me erase that so we can type it in correctly, as I struggle with that. All right, so negative 10 was my answer, so I'm going to store that in x. All right, negative 10, store x. And then I'm going to go back to my original problem, 2 over 5x. All right, so that is a fraction, so alpha y equals, enter, and we've got 2 over 5x, arrow over, and then I've got equals, right? That's math. Oh no, a second. Okay, second math, enter. So 2 over 5x equals, alpha y equals, enter, 4 over x squared, arrow over, plus alpha y equals, I have another fraction. So 4 over x squared plus x plus 2, x plus 2 in my numerator. My denominator is x squared, arrow over. Okay, I think that is everything correctly done. Okay, now what I want is if it's true, I store, if does 10 make it true? And remember what number means it's true? Number 1. Very good, so it's true. So negative 10 makes that true, so that is the solution. So we did it correctly. Fantastic. Yay, us. Okay, so let's look at the next one. There's 4 more to try. All right, and so we'll go ahead and do one together, and then you can, again, you should stop, try it, and then check with me. All right, don't just copy. All right, so first we need the least common multiple. All right, well, the idea with math is if you don't want something, you make it go away. So I don't want a fraction. I don't want denominators. So I'm going to make them go away. So let's see, I've got to have r squared in my least common multiple. I've got to have 1r. Well, that's part of r squared. And I need to have a 3. And then there's my r squared. I've got r squared. So this is my least common multiple. And now I'm just going to multiply everybody by 3r squared. Okay, and then that denominator will go away. Okay, so it's kind of like, you know, you're just distributing this to everybody. So I've got 5 over r squared times 3r squared over 1 plus 5 over r times 3r squared. I'm just distributing this. Okay, and I'm just going to put the over 1 so I can remember that that's in my numerator. And then I have 5 over 3r squared times 3r squared over 1. Okay, and now it's just multiplying. You know, we did this, and everyone did this really well. We just cancel out the ones that are on top and bottom. All right, so 5 times 3 is 15. Plus, I've got 1r here, right? So this was r squared, so that's only going to cancel out with one of those r's. So I still have an r. I have 15r equals, and then now 3r squared crosses out with 3r squared, and so I have 5. Okay. I'm going to bring this up here. I have 15 plus 15r equals 5. All right, and then I want the r by itself on one side, so I'm going to get rid of this 15, so minus 15 on both sides. That's on both sides. So that is 0, right? So I get 15r equals, and then 5 minus 15 is negative 10. All right, and then I'm going to divide by 15, divide by 15. So we get r equals, and then I'll go ahead and just put that in my calculator so it reduces for me. Alpha y equals, enter, and I've got negative 10 over 15. And that reduces to negative 2/3. So negative 2/3 is my answer. Okay? And it's good to practice storing, because if you had a multiple choice test, you could always, if you panic and you can't remember any algebra, you could always store the answers and see which one makes it true. So I'm going to store, I'm going to do negative 2/3, store, and instead of r, I'll go ahead and do x to save with some button pushing. All right, so negative 2/3, it's already there, so I'll store it in x, okay? So, and then now I'm just going to type out the original problem, which was alpha, it's a fraction. So I've got 5 over r, or I'll do x squared, 0 over, plus 5 over, oh dear, I forgot to make that a fraction. So alpha y equals enter. Oh, it's just, I thought maybe it would put it in the fraction. Delete that. Alright, so I want 5 in the numerator, and r, or so I'll use x, in my denominator, equals, so that's second, math, enter, 5 over, so I need a fraction, alpha y equals, enter, 5 over 3 x squared. Okay, so did I type that correctly? I think I did. Now we want it to be true, right? We stored x. You said x is negative 2/3. We said that will make it true. So I want to see a 1. Yay! Hooray! Okay, excellent. That's such a good feeling. All right, so now let's try the next one. All right. And there's my hint there, GCD and factor, right, to make sure to find my least common multiple. Remember, you got to have all the factors. So let's see what the factors are. Well, the greatest common factor of 5 and 5 is 5, right? So both of these have a 5, and they both have an x, right? So I'm going to divide, so 5x comes out, right? And then you're going to, remember, you're going to divide this guy. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and then I have x squared divided by x is x. Erase this so you can see. Alright, I'm dividing by 5x, right? And then now I'm going to do this one, so that would be minus, and then that's 1. Okay? So those are the factors of this guy down here. And then you have an x, and then that is the same thing, right? So this would be also 5x times x minus 1. Okay, so my least common multiple has to have a 5 as a factor, it has to have an x as a factor, and it has to have x minus 1, right? So that takes care of that, 5x and x minus 1, those are those 3 factors. Well, this one just has an x, so we've got the x taken care of, right? And then this one needs the 5x, so we got that, and an x minus 1, so we've got that. So that's the least common multiple, all right? So now what I'm going to do is multiply everybody by 5x times x minus 1. All right? So, remember that's what this is. This is 5x times x minus 1. And this is also 5x times x minus 1. Okay. So, when I multiply this times that, right? Well, these are going to cancel out, right? I get 5x times x minus 1 over 5x times x minus 1, right? Plus, and then now I'm going to multiply that by that, right? So it's 1 times that, so that would be 5x times x minus 1 all over x, right? Equals, and then now I'm going to multiply that by that, right? So it's 5x times x minus 1 times the x minus 5 all over the 5x times x minus 1. Okay. And then now, remember what's supposed to happen is all the denominators are supposed to go away. So notice that's 1, 1, and 1. So that ends up being 1 plus, and then that goes away, and then this will be 5 times x minus 1 equals, and that cancels out, and then I have an x minus 5. Okay, so let me rewrite this. Here's this equation here. All right, so I've got 1 plus, and then now I'm going to distribute here. So 5 times x, and then 5 times -1 will be -5. Equals, and then I've got x minus 5. So my denominators went away. Alright, and then now these are on different sides, my x's are on different sides, so I can't add them together, I can't make that 6x. What I'm going to do is minus x over here and minus x over here. Right? So I can, so I have 5x minus x is 4x. Right? 5 minus 1 is 4x. And then 1 minus 5 is -4. Right? Because these are my like terms. And these are my like terms. So you can combine those and you can combine these guys. Because these were my numbers. And then now that x minus x is 0, and then I'll bring down this the negative comes with that 5, so I have -5. Okay, and then now it's just a simple two-step equation, right? If I want to get x by itself, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. So I get 4x, right, because that's 0, equals -5 plus 4 is -1, and then divide by 4, divide by 4. So x equals -1/4. Okay? So if that was one of my choices, if I'm doing a multiple choice test, and that is one of the choices, I'd say, I think it's -1/4. And then I'll check it out by storing that, right? So I'll do -1/4, -1 divided by 4. All right. Oh, I forgot to store in x. So store x. Okay. Oh. So the answer is right.